Hi friends, today we're doing Unit 10, Lesson 11, the Quakers. We're going to start by going over the key vocabulary words you'll be hearing in today's reading. Our first word is founding, the act of starting something or creating something new. Our next word is outrageous, shocking, unthinkable, extreme, or illogical. Our next word is privileges, rights that only certain people have because of the position they are in. Our next word is Quakers, members of a Christian Protestant religion, also known as the Religious Society of Friends, which was started in England in the 1600s and exists today. And our last word is treason, an act that causes harm to one's country while aiding the enemies of that country as an act of disloyalty. We are now going to move into today's reading. In 1681, King Charles II paid back another overdue debt. The man he owed money to this time was Admiral Sir William Penn. Admiral Penn had given Charles II a great deal of money during the time Charles was banished from England. However, Admiral Penn died before Charles had the chance to pay him back the money he owed him. Feeling guilty about this, Charles decided to repay Admiral Penn's son instead. And so the younger William Penn woke up one day to discover that he had received the gift of an area of land that today is known as the state of Pennsylvania. It wasn't an unexpected gift. William Penn had actually asked for this particular area of land. He had a plan for it, and fortunately for him, the king had agreed. The king even named this gifted land Pennsylvania, which means Penn's Woods, in honor of William Penn's father. The young William Penn was very happy indeed. Why did he want this land? Well, he wanted this land for religious reasons. Admiral Sir William Penn had been a Puritan, but his son was a member of a Protestant group known as the Society of Friends, more commonly known as Quakers. Quakers believe that all people of every race, religion, and gender are equal. They do not believe in war. Quakers do not think that it is necessary to go to church to worship God. They believe that they can pray to God directly and therefore do not need priests or pastors to help them do this. And perhaps what was considered the most outrageous or shocking thing by many people back then was that Quakers encouraged women to speak up. Because of their religious views, Quakers refused to support the Church of England, to swear oaths in court, or to fight in wars. These beliefs not only challenged the Church of England, but some of the laws of the land too. As a result, the Quakers were seen as disloyal and troublesome, and they were persecuted or treated unfairly in England. Many English people, including the king, thought it would be better if Quakers would simply leave England, but even some of the first English colonies in North America did not welcome Quakers. Over the years, William Penn was arrested and placed in jail many times for his religious views, as were other Quakers. When he received the gift of land from the king, he knew exactly what he wanted to do with it. He planned to create a colony that would be a holy experiment. As the sole owner of this land, like Roger Williams of Rhode Island, Penn planned to welcome people of all faiths and those from different countries. Prior to this, a small group of Quakers had already settled in what is now New Jersey. However, unlike some other colonists, William Penn intended to pay for the land he had been given. He wrote to the Lenape Native Americans of Pennsylvania and told them he would do so. He also told them that he hoped they could be good neighbors to each other. William Penn had a clear idea of how he wanted his colony to be governed. He also had a clear idea of what the main settlement in his colony should look like. A plan for this future city was drawn up before it was built. The main settlement would be on a piece of land between two rivers, the Schuylkill and the Delaware, near one of the largest freshwater harbors in the world. The settlement would be called Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Penn wanted Philadelphia to have a grid pattern of wide, tree-lined streets. He wanted there to be open areas where people could walk. Philadelphia was the very first English settlement to be planned before it was built. So this was the plan for the city of Philadelphia. In April 1681, Penn asked his cousin William Markham to be the deputy governor of Pennsylvania. His cousin accepted the position and set off right away. William Penn stayed behind in England to create a document that would outline the laws of this new colony. This document was called the First Frame of Government. William Penn had decided that his colony would be governed by elected leaders, not purely by the rich and powerful, as was the case in England. However, these elected leaders did have to be Protestants. People of other religions could settle in this colony and practice their faith, but they could not vote or hold office. Public education would be available to all children. There would be the right to trial by jury. In addition, William Penn believed that the purpose of jail was to reform or change prisoners rather than punish them. And so, in William Penn's jails, rather than being locked inside tiny cells, many prisoners were held in large workhouses where they could spend their time doing something useful. In October 1681, William Penn sailed across the Atlantic Ocean to his new home on a ship called the Welcome. As soon as he arrived, he met with the native people, the Lenni Lenape, who are known today as the Delaware Native Americans, and together they drew up a treaty. Penn also arranged to buy the land he had been given by King Charles II rather than just take it. Before long, Philadelphia became an important center of commerce. Many people of different religions and nationalities made their homes there. In the early days, people came to this colony from England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. Later, they came from other parts of Europe, including Germany, France, Poland, and the Netherlands. People even moved to Philadelphia from other English colonies for multiple reasons, including the many employment opportunities, the spirit of religious tolerance, and the available farmland and accessible harbor. As a matter of fact, a few years after Philadelphia's founding or establishment, the young Benjamin Franklin moved to the city to become an apprentice printer. Like New York, Philadelphia grew into an important city and center of commerce. Because Quakers were strongly opposed to slavery, they established small farms that could be more easily managed or controlled by fewer people. This is not to say that there weren't any enslaved Africans in Pennsylvania. There were. In fact, by 1730, there were 4,000 enslaved Africans in this colony, but that was much fewer than the southern colonies. Ultimately, because Quakers felt that slavery was wrong, they actively fought to abolish or end slavery. William Penn worked hard in the first 2 years to establish this middle colony. Then in 1684, for a number of reasons, including a land dispute with the powerful Lord Baltimore, he decided to return to England. William left his cousin and another man in charge. Incredibly, when Penn returned to England, he was arrested for treason and his rights and access to the colony were taken away from him. In the end, William Penn was found to be innocent of the treason charges against him. However, he did not return to Pennsylvania until 15 years later. When he did return in 1699, he found that many things had changed. During that time, thousands of people had moved to Pennsylvania. With more people came more problems. Being a reasonable man, William Penn listened carefully to the concerns of the people he had left in charge, and even to those he had not met before. He recognized the need for an even more open form of government. In 1701, William Penn signed the Charter of Privileges. This document allowed elected members of the government to not only vote on laws, but to create new laws as well. A few years later, in 1704, an area in the southern part of Pennsylvania known as the Lower Counties was allowed to establish its own government. This area would eventually become the colony of Delaware. Soon after, William Penn set sail for England again. He never returned to Pennsylvania. In 1708, he was once again arrested. This time, he was accused of not paying his debts. Although he was released within a year with his debts cleared, Penn's health had started to decline. William Penn continued to fight for the things he believed in. Throughout his life, he found himself on the opposing side of popular opinion. William Penn died in England in 1718, and he was buried next to his wife in a tiny village called Jordan's. He is remembered as the man who founded the great city of brotherly love. You may now move on to Unit 10, Lesson 11, Google Form.